Quintana Roo is a Mexican state on the Caribbean Sea. We've been to 3 different cities in Quintana Roo, and so we have some tips to share with you.
We want to make planning your trip to Quintana Roo a little bit easier, so here are the things that we did here that we really enjoyed that you should consider doing while you were here. The first one is whale sharks. If you're here, I think the season is like May to October, maybe?
Yeah, and maybe
it's like the summertime.
It may be a little bit better for whale sharks if you like pick the middle months of May through October to do that.
It is the most fun thing ever.
It's so crazy to be swimming with the world's largest sharks. Like,
so cool.
There's nothing quite like it. It's amazing because they move slow enough to where you can actually swim beside it, and you can take some pretty cool videos and pictures of them. Like, this was a huge, this is a crazy moment for us.
Definitely don't miss this if you're here during the summer months.
We do have to say though that summer is pretty hot and humid here. I mean, if you're not used to high temperatures in the summer, coming here might be a shock to you, especially with the humidity. You're gonna sweat a lot, but it's a perfect time to go looking for whale sharks.
Mostly if you're like walking around in the day though. The only time I really felt like, oh, this is so hot was when we were walking around Tulum. And we were just like drenched with sweat.
Especially when you're wearing a backpack, take the backpack off, got the back sweat, it's not a good situation. But
sometimes there's a nice breeze.
Sometimes in the shade it's okay.
Yeah, in the shade it's generally okay.
Yeah. Another thing that you may be thinking about is Chichen Itza. Chichen Itza is not in the state of Quintana Roo. It's actually the next state over, Yucatan, but it's still easily accessible.
Yeah, it took us like 2.5 hours to get there from Cancun, so not really too bad actually. Most places you stay, unless you stay like really straight in the middle of the Yucatan Peninsula, it's gonna take you a while to get to Chichen Itza.
I think Cancun is like the most popular place to leave from to go to Chichen Itza. And so I think if you stay in Cancun or close to Cancun, like you're gonna be just fine. If you really wanna go to Chichen Itza, Tulum may be a little bit more difficult to get there.
I think it's actually closer to Tulum, so.
I think so. So Chichen Itza, it's just within 2 or 3 hours, easy to get to. You shouldn't have a problem getting there. You can book a tour.
It's super interesting. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not huge on like tours where I have to listen to a bunch of stuff, but this one was actually really cool because the Mayan history was crazy, like insane. So if you like that stuff, I mean, I don't even really like that stuff and I still really enjoyed it. So I would definitely go to Chichen Itza and get a tour so that they can tell you all of the really interesting things about the city.
Another place you might like if you are interested in Mayan ruins is Tulum. Tulum has a great place to see Mayan ruins. We were not able to go there in our time here, but many people do that from Tulum. It's just like really close to the city. It's something you might want to check out.
Yeah, pretty easy to get there. We honestly were gonna go yesterday and we just felt lazy and didn't go.
And there is a really nice beach. Everyone says the beach like right on the ruins is great.
But it is closed. You can't like swim there or anything.
Because that's where the turtles lay their eggs, and then the baby turtles are hatching and they go into the ocean. So they want to protect that area, make sure we're not stepping on any turtle eggs. So
that'd be so cute.
So you can take cool pictures there. I heard many people say that it's one of the best beaches they've seen in Tulum, and so hey, you could take pictures of it. You just can't go on the actual beach.
Guys, the Cenotes. Maybe the highlight of our trip. Probably not. The whale sharks were the highlight. But the cenotes were a very close second. Oh my gosh, they're so cool.
They are wild, just underground caves.
And the water is like blue and clear and like crystal. It's amazing. Definitely go to cenotes.
Yeah, it's just like you can swim in them too. You can dive in them. There's fish in there you can check out. Like you can bring your underwater cameras and you can get some great footage of that.
So
like, and then just out of the water too. I mean, like the
beautiful.
caves, the formations that the earth has made, like it's beautiful.
So
you
wild.
could just stare at the caves.
You really could. It's so cool. There's like 1,000 cenotes or something crazy like that. We went to one that our driver told us to go to because he said like it's very chill and like there's not a lot of people, and we really didn't want to go to a cenote with a lot of people. So the one that we went to was Saskatoon. I like almost don't even want to say the name because I don't want it to become super popular. But like I wouldn't go to Dos Ojos, like that's like the most popular one. And when we pulled up to the parking lot, there was like so many cars, like so many cars. We didn't even go in because we were like, this is not gonna be what we want. It's gonna be a crowded little cave. So maybe go to like some off the beat cenotes if you can, because those are probably the true gems and not just like the popular ones. And also you have to pay to get into them.
You gotta pay quite a bit, yeah.
Like we paid like $70 to get into the one that we did, which is kind of a lot, but it was worth it.
It's a lot for what it is, because I mean, it's just like it's the earth, like
yeah.
but they charge you to get into.
We stayed there for like 3 hours, so I think it was worth it for us.
Yeah, and we also mentioned that you could dive in cenotes, which is so interesting to me because I guess some of them are kind of deep. But if you are into diving, I think there's plenty of dive sites that you can go to in Quintana Roo since it's right on the Caribbean Sea.
We went diving and it was really cool. We saw 2 turtles. It was fun.
It was our first time diving. Like we were learning how to dive, and like we were going 60 feet deep at some point. There's just a lot to see down there.
If you want to get dive certified, like PADI, open water certified, Cancun is like the place to do it. We did it at Manta Divers and it was a really good experience. And I've just heard that like Cancun is really good for this in general. So even if you don't go to that specific one, I think Cancun is just like a really good place to get dive certified.
One of the things we learned in Quintana Roo is that things aren't really that cheap here. You think of Mexico, especially if you're like from the United States, and you think like, oh, everything's gonna just cost a lot less than you would at home, but that's just not really the case because you're going to some pretty touristy areas. Like there's a lot of international people here. They can charge a lot because they're getting a ton of flights in and just people that have money, and
it's
so
mostly like the United States and Europe, so it's really not that much cheaper.
Yeah, so like the food that you eat, it's gonna be probably paying about the same price that you would for a meal in like the United States or Europe. We spent a lot of money on taxis. That's just what we decided to do. Didn't rent a car. That I don't know if that would have been cheaper either.
I honestly think renting a car is the way to go. Like I really do.
It depends.
I think that you like. It would be so nice to rent a car because you could drive to the beach. You could drive to Cancun from Tulum, or Tulum to Cancun. You could explore more. You could drive to Chichen Itza. You could drive just like all over the peninsula.
Yeah, I think especially if you want to go to multiple cities in Quintana Roo, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. If you want to go to multiple cities, renting a car is probably the way to go. It might be expensive. We actually didn't really check that out.
Because we're only 24.
Like the shuttle situation, it's good too. Like you can get to your hotel in Cancun to your hotel in Tulum. Like it's fine. Also, another thing about the money situation, $1 United States dollar equals 20 Mexican pesos, and I'm sure that's going to fluctuate, and that information might become outdated in a few months. But I mean, you can like plan based off of that.
But it's actually really interesting because every single place that we've been to, like restaurants, shops, pharmacy, whatever, they always charge us a higher exchange rate so that they get more money.
In United States dollars, they'll try to charge us more United States dollars than it actually would be if you just paid it all in pesos. I think that's why it's important to have pesos with you, or at least be able to pay in pesos, like with a credit card or something, because they use a better exchange rate for them.
Which makes sense, because for them it's good, but for us it's bad.
Yeah, so like things like credit cards that have the international exchange rate, that could be really nice for you. They take Visa, MasterCard pretty much everywhere. I didn't see one place where they accepted cards that they didn't take those.
They take American Express pretty much too.
There's almost every place took American Express. We have a Discover card that we like to use for traveling sometimes. They did not.
Never.
Well, like once or twice we tried to pay. They actually did take Discover
card. Out of like 100.
So like American Express probably going to get you pretty far, but then you got to have a Visa or MasterCard in case you can't pay with American Express. And like we said, it's good to have cash on hand in Mexican pesos because a lot of places, well, I'd say like taxis especially, they only take cash. And so you're going to want to have the pesos because they will charge you slightly higher in United States dollars or euros if you use that and you have that in cash. So just like make sure you're going to ATM when you get here. They are probably going to charge you a big fee to use the ATM. Just try to do it all in one.
You can try to do it before.
We already talked about renting a car and like traveling to different cities, but there are tons of alternatives. You could take a taxi. I'm sure that'd be really, really expensive. That's why we found a shuttle to actually go to the Cancun airport from Tulum.
Yep.
It really didn't cost that much, like after taxes and fees. I think it's gonna be.
Because it's like a shared shuttle.
Yeah, it's gonna be like $90. So
for
like,
both of us, like $90 total.
Yeah, so like not cheap, but like a taxi probably would be like at least $200. Gas is actually a little bit cheaper here than in the United States right now, so that is very interesting. But there's also like buses you can take. There's a bus called like ADO. I don't know if it's pronounced like Adu or something, but you could take that. It was going to be like around $50, but we would have to walk like 20 minutes to get to the bus stop, and it's
hot.
It's hot and humid. It's
suitcases. Yeah.
So we decided to get picked up at our hotel, and
I think the extra $40 is worth it to not drag our suitcase all around Tulum. If you want to go to Cozumel, you can either fly in to Cozumel. When we went to Cozumel, we actually did fly into the airport, and it was super convenient. We actually got a straight flight nonstop from Phoenix to Cozumel, so that is a very, very, very good option. But if you're like going to more than one place, like Tulum and Cozumel and Cancun, then there is a ferry that you can take to Cozumel.
Yeah, it's from Cozumel to Playa del Carmen, which is about halfway between Tulum and Cancun. So if you want to do like Cancun, you could fly into that airport, and then if you also want to do Cozumel, then you would just drive down to Playa del Carmen and then get the ferry over to Cozumel.
I feel like they've made transportation between all of the like places really pretty easy, honestly. So I wouldn't worry about it too much, and if you can rent a car, I would do that. I'm pretty sure you can take the car onto the ferry with you. So it's not a big deal. You just have to research a little bit. We used this thing called Day Trip to get from Cancun to Tulum, and we actually were able to add stops, and that's when we went to the Cenotes. It was really cool, really helpful. And then what shuttle are we taking back?
We're taking, it's like called Share Ride, I think. It's called Share Ride. So there's probably going to be
different.
There's probably going to be other people in the shuttle with us, but like, you know, that's fine with us.
Yeah.
Now some things that you should not do.
Don't drink the water. Don't even brush your teeth with the water.
Yeah.
We like take a water bottle and dump it on our toothbrush just because we're not really willing to risk getting food poisoning, or I don't know what that would be called, like bacteria.
Yeah.
It's not food poisoning.
That's something that we're learning in many countries. It's just that like our stomachs aren't adjusted to the tap water in other places, and so it's just better to use bottled water. Kind of sad for the environment because we always have to buy bottles of water every single time, but that's just what you're gonna have to do to avoid getting sick.
Yeah.
We also mentioned that don't use the ATM as many times as you want. Try to limit it to like once or twice, just because like it doesn't make sense to pay the fees. I'm sure like almost anywhere you go in Quintana Roo, especially if you're like at a nice hotel or something, they're going to charge you a pretty big fee to use it. I mean, many people already know that. You don't want to waste your money just paying fees. And also the exchange rate is not too favorable in the ATM. And so, I mean, just don't use it that much.
Yeah. Are you listening? Bring lots of bug spray. Jacob died at the cenote. His back looked like he had the measles or the chickenpox. It was terrible.
Yeah, you need to bring, and it's hard at the cenote too, because like it might just wash off in the water, but like make sure you have bug spray, or even like we have this like cream that you put on your legs, and like that really helps with repelling the mosquitoes.
Lots of bug spray.
Every single place, Cancun, Tulum, and Cozumel, all of the places that we went.
Cozumel, we got attacked.
It was.
My legs were just full.
Try to bring it with you so that you don't have to buy it here, because I'm sure it's going to be more expensive here. It just makes sense that it would be. You need
bug spray.
You need bug spray, bug repellent.
So we haven't been all over Quintana Roo. Obviously, we've been to the most popular places, we think, so we hope that this guide has helped you a little bit to make your trip easier, or just convince you to go, because it has been such an amazing place. So we hope that you have found this video helpful, and if you did, if you want to subscribe, that would be great. And if you're really feeling it, and if you're really grateful for all the videos that we're putting out, you could join our channel memberships, where you get exclusive things that nobody else gets. So if you want to be friends with us, or you want to support us, we would appreciate that so much, and we have a link to all of these things in the description below.